Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are and where we come from. So who are we and where do we come from?
I'm Natalie, and I come from my mother's womb. I know, I'm from the courts. Born and bred.
Born and bred. You're still there?
Still there.
So this week's a little bit different. So this week, what I said was, because I thought, as I said, the reason at the start of the podcast why we took such a long break was that we struggled to get guests. And then, as I said before, a lot of people we recorded and we couldn't put them out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I had people asking, could they come and just talk to me? And I was like, I'm not a counsellor. Like, do you know what I mean? That's not what I'm here for. So I was like, going, do you know, I need a co-host extraordinaire. I need someone that sometimes when I'm let down, that we can just step in.
Yeah.
Like Enya has Jordan. Vogue has...
Jordan's great.
Jordan's great. Yeah. Vogue has... What's her name? Joanne. Or does Joanne have Vogue?
Does Rebecca have Natalie? Or does Natalie have Rebecca? Who knows? We let the listeners decide.
And this is why I was like, who would I sit down with and just have the chats and talk about everything and anything, but also is an absolute buzzer who I would just laugh the whole time with. Yeah. So I just texted you. I was like, Natalie, do you want to just do like a fill in with me and we can talk about everything in between?
Absolutely.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Can't complain.
How's things like as you go on through? I know anyone who's I think a lot of new followers, they've gone back and they've listened to the podcast. And I don't think we did actually do a sit down, did we?
You mean after our podcast?
Yeah. We did a live.
No. I know I done a live. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I done a live with you talking about me ma.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That was nearly 2 years ago.
Was it? Oh my God.
2 years ago in April it would have been.
So, again, just to remind people, you lost your mum when?
2015. January 2015, yeah.
And then, like, do you know, people say time, does it get better? Does it get...
For me, no. No. It doesn't. I actually felt, this probably sounds a bit dramatic, but I am dramatic, you know me. I actually felt a little bit betrayed by people who told me that time is a healer.
Did you?
Yeah, because it's not. Not for me anyway. And I think from when my ma died, I missed her terrible. Every single occasion that I had, whether it was Mother's Day or birthday, whether when I got a promotion in my job, when little things happened, I felt I was missing my mum more at those times, right? I miss her every day, but at those times, I missed her even more. But now that I have Paisley, I miss her even more, and I feel that she's missing out on all of Paisley's milestones, all our little memories that they could have made together. Because my ma was really good. I said to you before, like my ma was great with the boys, with my nephews. And I just wish my ma had that bond with Paisley. So when people tell me that time's a healer, I'm like, no, it's not. And anyone that I know who has lost someone, whether it's a mother, a father, and so on, I have said to them, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be saying this stuff to them, but I have said, I can't even say this in a, how do I say in a nice way? The way I feel is like, time is not a healer. Don't mind what anyone else says to you. But I just say in a way, it's like, you don't get over it. You just somehow learn to live with it. I always say that. So for me, no. The answer is no, it doesn't help. She's missed out on so much already. And it's been 8 years. And she has missed out on a lot. And the likes of Mother's Day and all coming up, I just miss her, my nanny. Do you know, that kind of way? So hard.
I always reference you, like when I have podcasts with grief, I always reference you because they're like she's gonna fucking kill me. No, but I always reference you because you're the only one of my friends. Well, I know Julie lost her mum and dad, but you're the only one that lost so much throughout your life.
Yeah.
That like my friend Andrea, like when Robbie died, she was like, don't be fucking chief mourner. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, I think you just had to mourn so much of your life.
I did. Like, I had a lot of deaths. I mean, after I done that podcast, that live podcast with you, a week later, I talked about my uncles on that podcast, how they were like father figures. My mad's brother, Edward, had a cardiac arrest a week later and died. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, because we have a big family, I think, I feel like I don't have a big family anymore because we've lost so much of them. So many of them that's gone. When I go to the graveyard, like I'm spending my day in the graveyard going to visit all family and stuff like that. Like it's really hard, but I feel I have lost a lot, and I feel like, you know, even my aunties now, they won't celebrate Mother's Day.
Well, do not.
No, they won't go to parties anymore. They won't go out anymore because it's not the same. There used to be a crowd of them going out, all my ma's brothers and sisters. I just feel like they're all just dwindling away. They said it themselves, like it was just, there used to be a crowd and like just nobody there now, like, you know.
Yeah, because I said did I tell you that I used to have that dream about your aunties? I did tell you, I used to be mad. I used to have a dream about your aunties, and I remember going to a house, and it was in the middle of where the Darndale Lake is now, that field, and it was a house of its own, and it was all colourful, right? And when I'd be kicked in my ass for whatever crazy reason, and when I was a teenager, and one of them would bring me to this house, and it was full of, and there was a little girl in the house, and she used to run away on me all the time, and I could never find her.
Right.
And like, but every time I'd say I dreamt it about 8 times, and every time it was a different Cooney auntie.
Go away.
Yeah. It was different when you were auntie. Yeah. And the other day I seen 2 of them walking up, would it have been Rita
and Cato
walking up, and I said I just smiled to myself, and Amelia said to me, what are you smiling at? And I said, there's Natalie's aunties.
Yeah.
And she was like, what's so important about Natalie's aunties? And I was like, no, but they were so important. Like, everyone knew the Cooney sisters, the Cooney brothers. Everyone knew your family.
Yeah.
And we all knew, that's one of Natalie's aunties, that's one of Natalie's uncles. Do you know what I mean?
You wouldn't know their names, but you'd say, I've seen one of your aunties, it's the blonde one. You know, there's 5 of them that are blonde. You know, the small one, they're all small. Which one? And I'd have to go through the names. No, I think it's that one. Is it that one? No, it's the other one. I'm like, oh yeah, it's one of them anyway.
Were any of them twins now, Cato and Tin?
No, they're all just stepping stones. There's all like a year between them all, yeah. Yeah, there's not much.
And do they have that bond with Paisley that you have with them?
No, I have to say, Rebecca, right, that was one of the things like that I was really sad about. All during my pregnancy, I sailed through it. Like, now I had diabetes and I had other stuff like that, but I'd cry a lot over my ma, and I'd cry a lot that she wouldn't get to meet Paisley, and I'd cry a lot that, you know, she wouldn't have that bond with him. As I always thought about the bond that they should have had. But my God, like, they've really, really helped me out when it comes to Paisley. Like, my aunties have her now at the moment in my nanny's house. They're very good with her. And like, they always say anything they do for her, they say, oh no, your ma done it for all years and all, like, and you know, and they love her. And she loves my aunties as well. She loves Janice and Nicole. Like, they're really, really good to her. And I feel very lucky that I do have so many aunties, because I know if one of them can't mind her, the other one will. There's always someone there. I never have to worry about babysitters or something like that. Not that I need many babysitters. I don't really go out much. It's once in a blue moon I go out. And anywhere I go, I bring her with me. You know, that kind of way. So if I do, like when I have to go into the office or something like that, like I'll drop her into my nanny's like at 6:30, 7 in the morning. They'll get her ready for school, and she'll have her dinner and all there. Like, and yeah, like she has really close bond with them now, I have to say. I wish she had it with me ma as well. You know, but look, I'm lucky that I have so many aunties, and I have my sisters there. Like, they're really good now, I have to say.
What kind of mammy are
you? I think I'm an overprotective mammy. You know, I think I always had this fear that I was never going to be a ma. Right? Always had this fear. I don't know why. I just never thought I was going to have kids. I mean, you know, when we were growing up, I was always saying, I'm going to have loads of kids. I'm going to have 10 kids. I'll have your kids for you. I'm going to have loads of kids. I always mad about mine and kids and stuff like that. But then as the years went on, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have kids. So I was 38 when I had her. And people say, I always say this, right? Some people say they waited 9 months for their baby to be born. I waited 38 years for Paisley. And she is the best thing by far that's ever happened. And I know everyone says that about their kids. I know they do, right? But I think, and plus I had a really bad hemorrhage when I was pregnant as well, and I thought I lost her. So I always had this fear of losing her. Even now, like, I'm like, oh God, when she's unwell, I'm like, God, please don't be wrong with her. Oh God, like I panic. I'd like to say I'm overprotective.
I can fucking imagine you.
Oh, Rebecca,
I can imagine you.
I'm up the wall because she's non-verbal as well.
Right. Okay.
So because like she's very good at understanding, but she's not very good at sometimes communicating. I'm with her every single day, and there's still sometimes where I'm like, what do you want, Babs? Like, what is it? Show me what you want. And she's getting frustrated, and I'm like, I'm Mama. I should know what she wants. Like, and that's what worries me. Like, and that's why I didn't even want to send her to play school. And now she is in preschool, and she's coming on with her words and all. But I'm still like, what if someone doesn't understand her? What if she goes to the school and they don't understand her? Oh God, and I don't like no one else minds are outside the family. Like I wouldn't have anyone just take her, or, you know, I wouldn't let anyone just bring her out on the road or nothing like that. I'd be real overprotective. But I'm starting to kind of let her grow. I just have this fear that me being overprotective is going to, I don't want to say like stop her from being herself, but I just don't want to be that mad that's going to wrap her up in bubble wrap. But I'd like to think that
I didn't know she was non-verbal.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
She's starting to say little things like, do you know what's weird, right? Give you a laugh. I picked her up from school the day of her birthday. She had a little party in school, and she came out covered in paint, and our teacher was like, "Now tell mammy." And I was like, "What? Like, what's wrong?" She's like, "What colour did you paint with today?" And she goes, "Purple." I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, she said purple, and she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Thanks." I was like, "Thanks very much." We're like, "No," and she's saying all her colours, and I was like, she was "Ma, purple." I was like, "Oh my God." Brought her around to my nanny's. I was like, "Paisley, what colour is that?" "Purple." I was like, "Oh my God." So she started to say little colours, but purple's her favourite colour. Purple was my ma's favourite colour.
Oh, was it?
We all wore purple ribbons when my ma died. We painted my ma's bedroom purple before she died. Swear to God. So school is really helping her.
Yeah.
But like I had her speech and language therapy as well, and they said that they're going to try work on trying to help her to communicate more. Understanding, she's incredible at understanding. I could say to her, "Paisley, go get me your baby wipes and put on your coat and hat because we're going day-days." She'll do that. But she wouldn't be able to tell me what she wants as such. So, but like, look, she's coming on. She's
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that yourself?
Oh, do you know what? Sometimes I feel like a shit mother. I'm not gonna lie, right? Sometimes I'm like, when she's saying no, ma, and she's trying to, like, you know, she's pointing at things. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, do you want this? Do you want choc? Do you want a biscuit? Do you want this? And she's like, no, ma. And she's like, oh, ma. And I'm like, oh my God. And then like she could point at something and say, oh, you want your doll? She'd be like, yeah, ma.
Does she say yeah, ma?
She'd be like, yeah, ma. And he should be, oh, ma. And I'd be like, oh, Paisley, look at that. And he'd be, yeah, ma. And she makes all these facial expressions. Yeah. But after like, it could be 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm like, oh, your doll. Oh, I'm sorry. She's like, yeah. And I'm kind of going, I should have known that. I should have known it was a doll. But it's just, it can be a little bit frustrating for her. And I don't sit there crying. Like, you know, I sit there going, I should have known that. Like, God's sake, I should have known her doll. Like, she was pointing at it. Like, but sometimes I do feel like a shit man. Not going to lie.
She's the fucking image of you. I'm sitting here looking at you.
I know.
She's the image of you.
Everyone says that, Rebecca, yeah. My auntie just say to me, she's every bar, yeah. Every bar. And again, that's stuff that like I would have liked my ma to be able to tell me, like when you were young, you used to do this and this. My auntie just say, see her, she goes into trance, it's like you. He'd be, see, when you were younger, you'd sit there watching the telly. You'd say, Natalie, no, you'd stare at the telly. Me auntie'd be like, you'd stare, just keep staring. Nothing will break that stare. And Paisley's the exact same. Like Paisley be looking at the telly, you could do a dance in front of her, somersaults, everything. No, she wouldn't look. And then she'd be like, hi ma. And I'm like, I'm dancing here 10 minutes in front, you're trying to get your attention. But she reminds me an awful lot of my sister Janice.
Oh, does she?
In look wise, yeah, she does. Like if you see the photograph of Janice when she was younger, they're very alike.
I'm trying to imagine that school uniform photo with the two of you.
That's so funny. My auntie said that as well. Same mouth, same chin. Like everyone's saying now, like lately that she's gone the image of me. I do see a lot of my man as well. Then everyone's saying I'm gone the image of my ma as well. So
yeah,
mad. But everyone's saying like my family do have strong genes. I have second cousins that we look alike. Yeah, it's weird. Like it's mad. Like my cousin Damo, he is very like my cousins, the Bradleys. So the Bradleys would be my granddad's sisters.
No way.
Kids. Yeah, it's very like them. It's weird. Everyone kind of resembles somebody in the family. Yeah, it's weird.
And I was just like that motherhood right now. Like again, I said a while ago that I feel like a shit mother because I let Aria down in terms of her like education, and you know, I had one of the girls and she said like I put it up about the Roblox, you know, and all the porn, Peppa Pig and YouTube.
Yeah.
And I had one of the girls say, you know, this is the parents' fault because they'll be take it off them and watch them for a couple of days and then they'll just forget about it. It's down. And I was like, I get that, but at the same time, parents are so busy.
Yeah.
And parents don't have the support that Irma's had. Mm. And then, so sometimes it is, if you want to get your house clean, if you're like your house is upside down after the kids been there, you're at to been working all day. Sometimes it is easier just to put that iPad in front of them for an hour, so you can get the house done, so you can get the dinner on, so you can do all that. Like I think parents these days have it so fucking hard compared to parents years ago.
Yeah, defo. And even at that as well, like I remember if my ma had to get the house cleaned up, we'd be thrown outside for a while. You go outside to that garden, I had to get this place done. I wouldn't let my child play out in the garden on her own. Not with what's going on today as well. I wouldn't. And plus, I think, like what you were saying about the iPads and all, I try not to let Paisley on her iPad too much, but I do when I'm trying to get stuff done. And it's so easy to just distract him with something for an hour. But then sometimes that hour turns into 2 hours. Like if you're, because like I'm on my own, like I'm a single mother, so like I have to do everything on my own while still looking after my child. And then to sometimes I'd say, do you know what? I'm leaving that there. I'm going to do, I have a little, what are they called? Flashcards with Paisley where she learns a word. So I just sit down and I'd be like, do you know what? I'll leave in the washing, leave in the ironing. I'll deal with that tomorrow. And I'll sit down here with her for a half an hour, an hour. Now, she wouldn't sit with me for a half an hour. She doesn't want to do the flashcards for an hour. She might want to go on my phone. So I let her on my phone while I try and get things done, because it is hard. It is very, very hard to get things done.
Do you know what's really hard, right? And again, I'll probably be slaughtered for saying this. But like it's a judgment for me. Like I feel that I have a lot of judgment from outside.
Right.
I won't specifically name, but I have a lot of judgment. You know, I'll have people would come in and look at my house and be like, are you had to be sitting there working all day? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, Paul doesn't on his lunch break come in and clean the canteen and do the toilets and put a wash on and do all that. Paul sits and has his hour break. Now, not that he does take breaks, but like, you know what I mean? Paul does have his hour's break. Paul can go up to the shops for an hour. Paul can go around and smoke his brains out for an hour. But because I'm working from home on my lunch break, I'm supposed to clean up.
Same here.
I'm supposed to have a dinner on. I'm supposed to do all that. No, I'm a little bit sore today in the sense of I'm a bit fucking emotional today. Yeah, so I'm going why do I have to, why is it? And I think a lot of women, like it's, and I know your situation is different because you're single, but like, and it's so hard for single mothers. But in relationships, it's still always the woman who has to do everything.
I know, I get you. And then like, I don't know about you, but when I'm working from home, like you'd often get, don't be working from home, you get so much done. You know, you get all your washing done. I'm like, no, like when I'm working from home, I'm working. Like it's like I'm working in the office. Like I'm sitting there, when I have my lunch break at 12:30, I go collect Paisley. We'll spend lunch together, bring her home. Sometimes if I have meetings in the afternoon, she'll say me nannies for the afternoon. But other than that, I'm working. I'm not standing there ironing and cooking and cleaning. I'm working from home. So just because I'm at home all day, every day, doesn't mean that my house is spotless, that I have everything in ship-shape order. I have to work. And then when my job is done, that's when, like everyone else, when they come home from work, they cook, they clean, they get their kids ready, they get them bathed and so on, so on. I don't think some people understand when you're working from home, you're working. You know, you're not just sitting there with your feet up watching Jeremy Kyle or whatever. Like, you still have to work and then do everything else then like everyone else when they come home. It's tiring though, isn't it? It is very, very
I'm
tiring.
knackered. I am absolutely knackered.
Well, the last few days you're to have it, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm knackered. And, you know, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, even, like, Paul would get up and go to work. And I'm not here to bash Paul because he's very good. But Paul would get up and go to work. But I have to get the kids dressed. Now, he started, I had to say to him, so I'd get the kids dressed, I'd get their lunch ready, I'd get everything, and I'd go out the door. Then I have to do my job. Then I, like, you know, if someone wasn't around, I'd have to jump in and collect the kids. I'd have someone saying, can you bring me to the shops? Can you get me this? And I'm like, you can't be asking me these things. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm off. But yeah, like, so I had to sit down with Paul and say to him, I actually can't do this anymore. Because as well, the girls were killing each other. Yeah. So I was up to 90 by 9:15. And then you're like, oh. And I know, like, just like I talked to Julie, like my friend Julie. I talked to Julie, I talked to her. And so many women are in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
But it is, as a mother, it is so tiring. Like last night, I got the shock of my life. Like, I went out, I was all dressed up and I felt good and I was tired. And then I sat down on that table and the starters came out and I had starters and I just went, ooh. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? And it was my period. Yeah. And literally, my dress, I showed you my dress when you came in. My dress was ruined. And it was like taking me back to the tech in Coolock where someone was like, oh my God, you had to get your period. Yeah. And you had to get your jumper and wrap it around your waist. Yeah. And like, we used to be praying to be sent home. There was a bridge in the tech. Anyone who went to the tech, there was a bridge that was like from the classrooms. You'd go over the bridge and it was into the canteen and the PE area. So you'd sit there and be praying that you'd be sent out, like you'd sent home. But I was like that. So I said to one of the girls, oh my God. And like, again, these are business colleagues. So these are not personal friends I'm with. And I was like, Mandy is, she's a travel counsellor. And I said, Mandy. And she was like, what's wrong? And then Karina came over and Karina was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I can't get up. I was like, I think I'm like covered. Like, and like, we shouldn't even, like, we should be able just to have these conversations as women, but it's like, oh my God. Yeah, you know, like, God, you can't. Yeah, Paul said to me, I can't believe you put that fucking photo up last night of that tampon. He was like, what the fuck? And I was like, but that's real life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I ended up, the fella beside me, I was like, I'm going for a smoke, can I have your blazer? And he was like, yeah. And I ended up putting the blazer around me and Karina held back my dress for me and walked straight behind me and walked me to the lift. And she was like, and like everyone was like, oh my God, I have a dress, do you want a dress, do you want a dress? And I was like, no, I don't want a dress. I want to get into the bath or get into the shower and get into the bed. Yeah. Because I think it's pure exhaustion, but also I think it's age. And when I put that photo up today, the amount of people who messaged me saying, I'm the exact same. I'm the exact same. Yeah. And unfortunately, it is age.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just the age that you get that, you know, maybe. That these things start to happen to you.
I thought it was just since I had Paisley. Like, my body changed. Yeah. But maybe it's the age as well. I'm coming up to me mid-40s.
You're younger than me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you though?
Yeah, because it's 2 days. Am I? Yeah. Defo, like, look at me. But no, our birthdays are 2 days apart, but you're a year older. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, like, I just was like that. So I'm just knackered with the whole thing. And then having to parent on top of that is just so hard. And like I seen, again, when I did the Jeremy Dixon podcast about the online stuff, and I'm not going to hash that all out again. But like, I had some women like women that were like, I went into their profiles and they were in their 60s and they were like, oh Jesus, shame on her having that child and the thing. There was no iPads in my days and look at my kids, they're grand. And I was like, yeah, because the world was so much safer.
Yeah, it was so different.
Then
people are leaving keys in their door, hall doors open.
They were letting you mind their babies.
Me, at 12, if a 12-year-old knocked on my door asking, can you mind me baby? I'd be like, go back and play hopscotch or whatever you're doing. But that's what everybody used to do. Sure, I said it before to you. Remember, we were like 11 and 12 knocking at people's doors. We didn't even know, can I mind your baby? Didn't even know the child's name. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one does that anymore. No one is like, I babysitted for my uncle's friend and his wife. Never met them before in my life. And I was minding 3 kids. I'd never dream of doing that like that for Paisley. Yeah. It's such a different world. And I don't know, how did it get like that? How did it go from letting strangers mind your kids, leaving your hall door open, to the extreme where you don't let your kids out to play even? You know, and that's not just me. There's a lot of people on the road that won't let their kids out to play.
But it's not even that. The kids don't even want to go out to the back garden.
No.
They can't. It's too cold, and then you're like, it's like. Hang on a second. If I let her out, she's got a jacket on, she's got a scarf on, and she's got a hat on, and she's got gloves on, because she's going to be in bits, and then she's not going to be let out. It's just...
Yeah. I remember years ago, with my ma grounding me, I thought it's the end of the world. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to listen to everybody talk about how much of a great day they had, and they done this and they done that, and I'm grounded for a week. But it's the opposite now. If my sister told her, well, not Callum, he's 21, but Evan, he's nearly 14. But if she told him to get out and play, he'd be like, what? Like, he wouldn't want to go out and play because he's on his game. He's still talking to his friends on the game. He's still on social media, seeing what's going on. No one's out. And, like, I mean, I could be grounded, but you might not leave his door either, outside your door. But I'd be like, I'm going to miss out on something.
You had the biggest FOMO growing up.
I did.
You, like, hated missing out.
Oh, my God. I thought it was the end of the world. That's why I never smoked, because I was afraid my ma would catch me, I'd be grounded. I didn't do that. Well, I drank when my ma didn't know, but I was like, I'm not doing things, because if this gets back to my ma, I'll be grounded and I'm going to miss out on so much, like all the crack we used to have. So I was like, no, I'm going to be so good. I don't want to miss out on anything.
No. And like, even like, you know what, I was at, was it Melissa Bonny, God bless her, at her funeral. And I seen Stacey, not Stacey Bell, Anne-Marie. And I think I called her Stacey, like, why? I don't know why, but I think I did. And like, it just makes me smile when I see people from my childhood. Yeah. Because I'm like, look at us now, to look what the absolute nutballs
I know
we were.
We're mad. Oh my God, the stuff we used to get up to. Like, if Paisley got up to half the stuff that we got up to when we were younger, I don't think I'd let her outside the door. I'm not saying we done that bad.
No, I know.
We never got in trouble with police or anything like that, but we were just mad. Mad.
I'm taking it back to your ma and all, like, just talk about funerals and stuff like that. Like, and I know you do a great funeral.
Thanks.
You do. And the whole thing, like, when Bernadine's auntie died. Yeah. And you gave the whole thing and you did the room. Like, I'm like, that's bizarro to me that you would. So what did you do?
Well, it was actually my Auntie Rita that actually came up with the idea when my nanny died. And my nanny had died in our bedroom, and my auntie was like, do you know what I'd love? She said, I'd love like all white sheets on the room, she says. And we were like, white sheets? Like, what do you mean? So she described it, and we were like, all right, grand. So I was like, right, went out, spent a couple of €100 on the sheets. We pinned them all up, like all the boys, my cousins and all, pinned them all up. And then she kind of hung all like ribbons and all on it. And do you know what? I swear to God, Rebecca, I'm not telling you a word of a lie. This probably sounds, again, dramatic, but that's me. When we walked into the room, it's like you're just walking into heaven. I swear. It was just like, we were just fucking going, oh my God. It was just, do you know what it was, right? It was just real innocent, like just real pure. It was just lovely. And then my poor nanny then was just in the middle then. And it was just like everybody was walking in going, like looking, going, oh my God.
Did you have fairy lights now?
No, it was just all like sheets, like, but it was like I think my cousins done like a plea in the sheet. I have my photographs of my, I actually sent it to Bernadine. I can show you photographs of my ma's room and all, and we had all the ribbons on and all, like, and I remember in my ma's room I think we had like white satin sheets for my nanny. Yeah. And then I think we got chiffon from my ma, that's all we could get at the time. But my cousin, like, where my ma was laid out, she died in our bedroom, like, and we had her laid out in the bedroom. So,
in
like,
a coffin, like?
She was in our coffin.
Right, okay.
Yeah, in the bedroom. So say they had the windows, my ma's windows there, right? My cousin was had to put in, like, a drape over there, like, you know, at the room, and my ma was in the middle, and then he put our chest of drawers back, because he kind of wanted the room to look like my ma's bedroom, but not my ma's bedroom. So we had our lockers beside our bed, and we had like our little altar. My ma got real religious like towards the end, and we had our altar with the sheet over it and all, like, and it was just real, like, everybody was like, oh my God, like, you know, it was lovely. And my ma there, but then what was hard then the next morning when we walked into the room, and I said there that night in my ma's room, I said with my ma every night when she was laid out, still sleep in our room, me and Paisley, but I remember just walking into the room then, and it was just real empty where our coffin was. It was just real empty. It was just, but it just looked real pure. It just looked like heaven. It was lovely. We done the same from my Uncle Edward as well, like.
And then you gave a land to somebody else for them to do it, and they loved it as well. Yeah,
I done it. It was actually my friend Tracy, her brother-in-law Stephen died in an accident there a couple of years ago, and I done the room for him. And then I done it for my next door neighbour Anne Whelan when Anne sadly passed away. I done the room for her, and then I done it for Eileen.
Like, would you like to be a funeral director?
Do you know what I'd love to do, right? I'd love to help. I don't think I'd like to be a funeral director as such, but I'd like to do something like that to help people, because I know how hard it is. Now, I'm not saying the good thing about my ma when she died, one of the lessons, I'll say, right, that we had was that we were always open with my ma before she was sick, what she wanted when she died. Now, my ma would say, she was gassed, like when I think of her, even with a few drinks, and she'd say, you know that song of Tomorrow Never Comes? Now, I'd love that song. Now, I'd love that. Yeah, sing it with us. And I'd be like, oh, well, I'll sing it. And Janice would be like, Ma, I will. And the two of them be sitting there singing Garrett Brooks if Tomorrow Never Comes, right? So we knew she wanted that song at her funeral. She'd always say, if that never happens to me, oh, please make sure I'm dead. Oh, because I tell you, if I woke up in a coffin, I'd die. So she'd say, well, make sure that I'm laid out for a few days. And we'd be like, yeah, of course. And then she'd say, oh, now if that was to happen to me, oh, make sure I'm on a corner grave. I'm claustrophobic. And I'd be like, what? What do you mean? And my ma used to always say, you know, if I was buried in the middle, do you ever see the way there's burials? And they always throw the muck from one grave onto another grave. Oh, I die now if they put all that muck on my grave. And we're like, Ma, you're dead. She's like, yeah, I know, but it'll play on my mind. So when my ma died, we had very difficult decisions, but we knew what my ma wanted. So if Tomorrow Never Comes, we got that song played, but we changed it. So it was like, you know the way it says, if tomorrow never comes, she must face this world without me. We got to change it. If tomorrow never comes, we must face this world without her. So we kind of put a personalised little touch on it. But we knew what coffin she wanted, because she wants the same as me nanny. We knew she wanted to be laid out for a couple of days. So she died on a Tuesday morning. She came back from Jennings Tuesday afternoon. She was there Tuesday night. We had her all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then she was buried on Saturday, because we knew that's what she would have wanted. She was in the house. We didn't let her stay overnight.
Was it harder having her there that long?
In a way, at the time, no, because I literally sat, like the way I'm sitting here, I sat by my ma's coffin and didn't move. I didn't move. We just literally sat with her, and we had family coming in and out. But the hardest part was, there was a lot of hard parts. Watching her die was very hard. I always say that, very, very hard. When I seen the men coming to take her that morning when she died, I ran into my sitting room, I put my fingers in my ears, and I was like, la, 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 singing, because I could hear the, you know, this, just the noise of the stretcher. And I was like, oh my God, very hard. I find it hard looking at her in the coffin, right? I found it hard when we were bringing her into the church, we were sitting there, and when we knew it was near the end, because you ever see the men just coming down the aisle to come to take her, I was having palpitations. I had a panic attack the morning my ma was getting brought out of the house and all. I never knew what a panic attack was. Watching her getting put into the ground was horrific, but nothing. Well, look, I don't know whether people are different, right? But nothing prepared me for the next morning when I woke up without her. And I was like, what do we do now? What do we do? And poor Christine Bride, she lost her ma recently. And I know she's probably getting bombarded with texts, but I actually texted Christina the morning after her ma's funeral, and I said, look, I said, I know the last couple of days were hard for you, but I says, I know nothing is probably going to prepare you for this morning, waking up and realising this is your new norm. This is your normality. This is your new life, and it's all without your ma. And we were texting, going back and forward for a while. She was saying little things like, it's so weird, because even a couple of days before that, I was at to be in Stacey Bell's baby shower. And I was talking to Teresa Wilson. And Teresa brought up something to me about my ma's perfume, Lamont.
Yeah.
And I said, how did you remember that?
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, I forgot about that. I was like, oh my God, how did you remember? She goes, every time I see Lamont, it reminds me of your ma. So I was getting like real, oh my God, I can't believe she remembered that after, like, my ma's 8 years gone. But I was saying to Christine, you will forget things. And I remember Damo, my cousin Damo's daughter Leah, brought up something. My ma used to call me Sabnab. Have you got that Sabnab on? I'd be like, what's a Sabnab? She was like, the thing shows you where you're going. I said, it's a sat-nav. I forgot my ma said that, but Leah brought that up one time, not long after my ma died. And I went home and sobbed. I was like, I shouldn't forget things like this. I should be remembering every single detail about my ma. Truth is, you're not. There is going to things that slip your mind. But you know, I felt amazing when Teresa was able to remind me of that. Because I was saying, and I said this to Christine, it will upset you when you forget things, but it'll make you feel amazing when somebody else reminds you of what your mother did, or what your mother wore, or things she said. Because I remember her saying, remember your mum was terrified of dogs. Went to the house to see her. Like we said, maybe your mum was terrified of dogs. She was like, yeah. But I just couldn't believe after all them years she was able to remember me ma's perfume.
Which one was the Lamont bottle?
It was a little pink bottle.
Yeah.
In black. And I was a little stick. And my ma be putting
Yeah.
stick. Like that. Now she moved on towards the end. She was wearing her Chanel No. 5 and all that. Like, you know. But it was just little things like that. I was like, it made me feel real good. Like, I was like, oh, my ma's not forgotten. You know, that kind of way.
Would you ever go down to Jennings and be like, right, I have a business proposal for you. This is what I can do. Show them their photos. And go around.
Imagine.
And set up that business.
Yeah.
That you decorate.
It's not something that I thought of. Like, I be honest with you, like, you're probably going to laugh. I'm a little bit afraid of dead bodies.
Are you?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Like, I would be a little bit afraid of dead bodies. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, my family and all, like, my ma was kissing the face off or holding her hand, you know, doing all this. But I would be afraid to touch somebody else.
Right.
You know, that kind of way. I'd be afraid to, like, if I was going to see somebody, I'd kind of have to be like, right.
Oh, would you?
Yeah, I think I would, yeah. Like, I wouldn't be able to walk in a funeral home or anything like that. I have to be honest. I wouldn't.
Do you know Jordan, like, he did makeup on dead people?
I heard that, yeah.
Like, that's, like, and he was like, I was saying, hey, you bridey and all, and doing her eyebrows and all.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely traumatised if I had to deal with something like that.
Now, I don't think I'd like to be left on my own with them. No, I'd have to have someone with me, like, you know, I'm a wimp with things like that. But to do something like in a funeral home, I would love to help, but it depends on what I'll be.
Yeah.
Do you know, that kind of way, like, and stuff plays on my mind as well, Rebecca.
Does it?
Yeah, stuff like, you know, little things like if it was a child.
I know.
You know, it would play on my mind. And I remember years and years ago, I always wanted to work in a hospice. Always wanted to work in a hospice. Always wanted to help out. When my nanny was sick, my nanny says to me, she was like, please don't do it. Don't.
Oh,
she was like, you're too young. Yeah, she's like, I know how it affects you and all. Because I was very close to my nanny as well, like, you know, and she'd say, I beg you, just don't. She's, you're too young. Please, she says, because you see a lot of different things, like when people are sick and in a hospice and all. So I was like, right, well, maybe I'll hold off for a while. But it is something that I'd like to do. I would like to help someone, like, going through grief, because I'd be thinking, they're not in their right mind. Like, I always picture, this is what and I said this to Christina as well. I think I might have said this to Christina Bright, that when you lose someone, you're in a bubble. And you don't realise what's going on, you know, and then all of a sudden then a bubble bursts and you're kind of going, oh, now I don't have any regrets, don't get me wrong, about me ma, like, around like that. But one of, maybe, I don't want to say it's a regret, but maybe it's a decision that I could have probably, if I wasn't in that bubble, I probably would have thought about this at the time. But where my nanny and granddad is buried, there's a plot in front of them that there's nobody there.
Right.
And when my mum was getting buried, all I was concerned about was getting her a corner grave. I was like, please, she just wants a corner grave. She wanted a double grave. And they weren't giving out double graves. So
how the fuck do you know all that?
My ma used to say this. I was watching telly one day and my ma turned around, oh, do you know what I meant to say to you? That was so funny, like, every time I think of it. She said, no, I was meant to say to you. She said, that never happened to me. Make sure you get a double plot. And I says, a double plot? I says, for what? She said, I want to look after all them down there. Talk about me, all our sisters. And I said, what about me and Janice? You wouldn't need it. You with a long life ahead of you. Like, no. But that's stuck in my mind. And I begged Janice, I said, is there any way I can get a double plot? And they said, no, they don't do that anymore. And I says, well, can I have her on the corner? And they're like, I don't know. I know a fella from the graveyard, from being in my nanny and granddad's graveyard. His name is Richie. So me and my Uncle Edward went down to him. I said, Richie, can you do me a favour? He was like, yeah, all right. I was like, I'm about to lose me ma. My ma's have to die and all, but it's Richie. She wants a corner grave. I was like, I can't get a double grave. And he was like, and I was like, please, can I get a corner grave? And he says to me, look, I'll see what I can do. But because my ma died in January, he said a couple of things can happen. So, like, in January, he was like, it could be bad weather. So the corner grave tends to collapse.
Right.
So he said, I don't really want to say this, but he says, if it collapses, he says, we'll bury your mother. But he says, we'll have to take her back out. I was like, oh, don't take her back out. I won't, Rebecca, if I was to see her going down there, as hard as it was, I wouldn't want to know that she said being taken back up. I wouldn't believe she was there. That's the way my mind works. I wouldn't believe it until I see it. But then he said, what sometimes happen if it collapses, he said, now it's not just in Fingal, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But he said sometimes what can happen as well is if it collapses, we might just have to leave her on the edge. I said, I'm not going away and leaving her on the edge. No. But he said, look, we'll see what happens. And thankfully it all worked out. She got her corner grave. Everything was grand. But what you call it?
I don't know how to express. I just, like, how you managed to get this stuff done. It's
just because I was in a bubble.
Yeah.
I was in that bubble. But then that bubble burst a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
And I was like, I tell you what happened, right? My nanny was after time. And I was, again, in that bubble. Didn't know whether it was coming or going. And I remember sitting at my nanny's kitchen table one day. And I think I gave my aunties an awful fright because I just turned around and went, oh my God. And you're like, what? I was like, we let me man go in the ground. We let me man go in the ground. We didn't stop your man putting your man into the ground, because I'd call me nanny ma as well.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? I was like, why did none of you stop? You didn't stop. He's let him put her into the ground. Oh my God. And I was like, that's when the bubble burst.
Yeah.
So same thing happened, my ma. I remember I was like, there's no way I could let any man put my ma into the ground. No way. But I stood there and watched it. And a couple of weeks later, when that bubble burst,
Yeah.
I was like, we done it again. We let them put my ma into that ground, and I stood there and done nothing about it. I was like,
But what could you do about it?
Exactly, what could I have done? There's nothing I could have done. But in my head, there was something that
Was
I
it that
should
front
have
grave
done.
that you would have liked to put her into that front grave?
That's what I was thinking as well. I was like, if I had been thinking, maybe I should have asked, could I bury her facing me nanny and granda?
Right.
But that grave is bought. Now, Richie did say, like, look, in years to come, that might never be used. He says, I don't know whether he'll ever be able to buy it. But in my head, I was like, I could have stopped that man put my man into that ground. I couldn't have done it. But that's the thing. It's like you're you've an adrenaline going. Like you don't know whether you're coming or going. But when that bubble bursts, Rebecca, it's horrific. It's horrible.
The only thing I want, right, and this is something that it'll be noted now, right, and it'll be noted everywhere.
Yeah.
Eulogies are so important. Like, I need a boom box. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
I need, like, a total. I had this chat with Paul. Paul was like, would you ever fuck off? He was like, I'm in the moment of grief, and you're worried. I want everyone to hear how fucking amazing I was.
Yeah.
I want someone, like, did it and like, and I know people are upset, and I know people are going through it, but if you don't think you're going to get through my eulogy, don't fucking do it. Like, because I want that church crying.
Yeah.
I want everyone in tears that to say, oh my God, she was so amazing.
Yeah, I want that too.
Yeah. But like I hear it, like, like, I won't say what ones I've heard over the while, and it was like, and I was like, I can't hear what she's saying.
Yeah.
And then I'm checking my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm checking my nails, and I'm looking around the church because I can't hear a word that's being said.
I know.
I was like, I want a PA system brought into Prizewood Church, because that mic is very bad.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, and I want people to hear how amazing my life is.
Darndale, you want to hear.
Yeah. I want
right.
but I want the whole church to be like. I was saying this to the girls when we were in Venice, and my friend Sharon, she was like, "You're fat," she kept laughing about it, it's stupid, but that, do you ever see those 360 cameras?
Oh, yeah.
That go around and around. She's like, imagine we'll get Sab, there was an event plan, she's like, we get Sab to bring in the PA system, and then we get him to bring in the 360 camera.
Oh my God, I hope you die before me. I want to see this.
And she was like, and she's like, we'll open we'll have it, the top part of the coffin open, and we'll all get into the thing and whiz around with you. And the camera, like, because you don't have to move, because the thing just goes around
like
you.
that.
Yeah. Could you imagine? And we were in stitches, like, obviously full of drink.
Yeah.
But my main thing is, because I think people don't realise the effect people have on each other in lives. So if it's a brother, or if it's a sister, or if it's a friend, or a daughter, or a son, like, I do feel that, like, I would be pragmatic in the sense, now I know maybe in my grief I'd be different, but I'd be like, I want everyone to hear how amazing me ma was. Like, I think of the stories that I'd say at my dad's eulogy. Do you know that?
Gas, isn't it?
Just, when I'm at to leaving a funeral, I'd be going, no, I'd have to tell people that about my dad, and I'd have to tell people that about my dad. Yeah. Because he's brilliant. And I'd love everyone to know that story about him. Is that normal?
It is, yeah, because there was a lot of things, like, I done my nanny's eulogy, I done my ma's, and I done my Uncle Edward's.
Stop.
Yeah, I done them all. And I organised all their masses and all. Like, I love doing all that.
What's your favourite, like, poem or prayer or song?
Do you know what I love? And
What?
we had it played at all the masses. Be Not Afraid.
Oh, I love Be Not Afraid. I love it.
I love it, Rebecca, because that's one thing my ma used to always say. My ma used to say, not afraid of dying.
Yeah.
Just afraid of leaving you. So I always felt it was fitting, because it could be from me ma, like, be not afraid, because I know my nanny and granddad and my uncles are waiting for me ma. So don't be afraid, ma.
Yeah.
But it's also for her saying to us, be not afraid, because I was terrified living without me ma. Terrified. I felt abandoned by me ma, and I was terrified, and I felt like that was my ma saying, be not afraid.
I go before you always.
Yeah, and that's the song we always play at our funerals. Yeah,
because I swear, when I'm at a funeral and Be Not Afraid comes on, I bawl.
Yeah,
I bawl. I love it. It's just the best song, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. It's beautiful. But I as well, right? This is what I always do. Like, I remember, like, at my nanny's funeral, when we were doing the eulogy, I was like, I want to do the eulogy, but I was like, oh God, I don't want to cry. And I'd say, don't play such a song until after I do the eulogy, because I'm not going to be able to get through it. But one thing I always try to do, which it's so hard, is I don't keep my head down when I do the eulogy. I kind of try and look up, and then I see people looking at me, I'm like, ugh, and I'm looking back down, and I'm like, this is me one time that I can do it. So I try. Now I do be shaky, but I try to get through it. I try to speak loud and so on, so on. I swear I'm a pro at this.
No, you really
times,
are.
like, you know. But there was a lot of stories that I wanted to say about me ma and all this, but I would have been there all day, Rebecca. You know, I would have been there. I'm sure people would be like,
yeah,
I've somewhere to go. Come on, wrap it up. But there is a lot that you would want to say, but you can shorten it. Like, you know, you can shorten as you're writing it. But in relation to the songs and all, like, I wanted songs that meant something to me ma, like, you know, and I always think of the words, like, so I remember saying to my ma years ago, which is worse? My granddad died very suddenly, and then my nanny kind of lingered. And I said to my ma, I remember saying to her one night, what's worse? Is it not knowing that, like, me dad, like, because I call my granddad me dad, was it not knowing that me dad was dying, was it sudden, or is it knowing that my little ma is kind of suffering? And she said, not one is easier than the other. My dad was a quick goodbye, my ma is a long goodbye. So I remember listening to Leona Lewis, what's the song? Snow Patrol sing it as well.
Light Up,
Run. I can't believe I forgot that. And in this song it says, and as we say our long goodbye. So I was like, that's my nanny's song. So we had that sorted, like, when my nanny was sick, that's her song. Sweet 16 we played, because that was what your granddad used to sing for, because he met when they were 16, when she was 16. With me ma loved Joe Dolan, so we played Joe Dolan Fennis, Goodbye Fennis Goodbye, and it was just perfect, because again it's like I can't remember the song now. I don't know the song. So it's like Goodbye Fennis Goodbye, I must leave you to die, and it was just the words. I was like, oh my God. So that was perfect for me ma. With my uncle, I remember we were going through songs for Edward Scats as well. He'd say if an ad used to come on, I remember my auntie saying, like, he always liked this song. Oh, I can't think of the song, but it was Goodbye, time to say goodbye. Very good. But I remember he loved his music. So he'd be sitting there, he'd be, you know, tapping, and he'd be like, stop tapping. He'd be like, love this song. He'd be doing all this and all, right? But he'd say, do you know that song? It's a beautiful song. Beautiful song. That's the song I want if I ever die. I'd be like, you all have to sing if I ever die. We're all going to die. Yeah. But I remember we were picking out songs, and Janice says, why are you picking out sad songs from? Like, he wouldn't want sad songs. He'd want songs that he'd be clapping to and all, like, and he'd be like, he'd want you all, like, you know, sitting there clapping. So Edward died Jordan Cova, like, not from Cova, he had a cardiac arrest, but there was only a few of us allowed in the church. So there's a lot of people outside, but I remember, again, I grew up to do the eulogy, and we played Summer of 69. That was his favourite song after the eulogy, right? But next fall, I just kind of heard clapping, and I kind of looked around, and there was Janice, Sister Janice, and everybody in the church was just clapping. And I was like, we were kind of clapping, but she's like, that's what he wanted. Yeah. That's the type he'd be into. Like, he'd be into all that. And then we played Time to Say Goodbye. And I remember saying to my aunties, because again, I had my notebook trying to organise. Do you have a notebook? You're going to laugh, Rebecca. I have a notebook for my nanny's funeral with all the prayers and all still in it. I have a notebook for my mass. And I have a little notebook with all Edward's stuff in it. all the prayers of the faithful, all the kids wrote all their own
You'd
prayers
make a
of the faithful.
bleeding fortune if you know, like these wedding planners, like you do a funeral planner.
Yeah.
You just go in and take, and I know like you can't like make money on people, but everyone has to make money. It's like you would make I'd be into Jennings or into and be like, listen,
I'd love to do stuff like that.
have a little thing for you. This is a service. You can have gold, bronze or silver.
Oh, Rebecca.
Platform, and then whatever you want.
We'll have to do something after this.
I could be a business manager because that's a great idea.
Yeah. I've kind of never thought of it, but like, as I said, I know there's a lot of people that they probably like doing stuff like that themselves, like me.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people that probably just don't have the head for it. Like Janice. When my mum was sick, I could not for the life of me sit there and speak to a doctor. I wouldn't have been able to function. I knew my mum was sick. I knew she had cancer. I knew she was getting treatment. That's all I could cope with now. Janice was very good. Janice would go in with her notebook. Her my aunties would go in, and I said to my aunties, you can go in and you just can ask what you want. Just don't tell me. But when my ma died, Janice couldn't cope with the funeral. Janice couldn't cope with the headstone. Janice couldn't cope with anything like that. So we were able to do our own thing. You know,
yin and yang.
Yeah. So again, like Janice just said what she wanted for the headstone. I said what I wanted. We kind of designed it ourselves. I went down to Dave and Pierce Monuments, told him what I wanted, and I don't think Janice seen the headstone till it was made. And that's all right, because she just can't cope with that. I felt very guilty then after my ma died. My ma was laid out, and I said to Janice, tell me. She said, tell you what? I said, tell me everything. And she said, you sure you want to know? And I said, well, look, what harm is going to do now? I felt an awful guilt, because I was like, I can't believe Janice was kind of dealing with all that.
On her own.
Yeah, no, I did have my aunties, in fairness. Like, my aunties were very good. Like, they never let her go to a doctor on her own. They all went with her, like, a big tribe of them used to go. But I used to kind of feel guilty going, God, maybe I should have been there for her. But then Janice probably felt guilty that I was dealing with the funeral on my own. I was dealing with the head. No, not on my own, with my aunties. I was dealing with things. But people are different. So I would probably like to help people that wouldn't have the head for it. Do you know, that kind of way? But one thing I always say is like, and this probably sounds real morbid or whatever, but even I'll say to you, do you know what your ma and dad would want if they died?
I kind of do. Like, I don't know. Do I know? No. And I think I say to me, Matt, like Eileen's funeral and your ma's funeral, like I say to me, Matt, are you insured? Because you're not getting that. You're getting a pauper's poxy funeral. I say you're getting a pauper's funeral. I say, because don't be thinking. Because remember, it's the club's gone. Parnell's.
Yeah.
Did you have? I didn't go to your ma's afterwards. Where did you have your ma's?
We had in the prize what?
In the prize.
Yeah.
Like 3-course meals, Natalie.
I know.
Stop it.
No, we got a chipper for everybody. We had soup and sandwiches, and we got a chipper and loads of bread and all for everybody after a few drinks. Yeah.
I said to me, Matt, you are getting. See, Eileen. I said Mary Cooney's. I said all this. You better be insured. I said, because you're getting a pauper's funeral, you're getting a pauper's grave and a pauper's funeral. Because I don't, in my life, we pay mortgages and cost of living that we can talk about. And then you want like a 15 grand, 20 grand funeral. Is that how much they cost?
Yeah. Yeah, but then my ma left all that money. We didn't have to put a cent to it.
My ma won't, Natalie Cooney. My ma won't.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, she won't have left that money. She will be, my ma would say, she'd say, I'm going away, I'll get a few bob. And I'd say, oh, well, how do I live her? I'd be like, Ma, that's to fucking bury you. So stop spending that money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I say it, and I say, have you got me dad insured? Have you got, like, no policies and policies are up and stuff like that. I don't get it all. I have Paul's insured and I'm insured and that's that. And the kids are getting a good whack when that happens to us.
Same here, yeah.
And they get the house and all of that jazz. But I'm telling you now, I'll have to do a whip around. Do they still do whip around in the courts? They do.
Yeah, they do. The courts are great.
Yeah.
I have to say, they're brilliant. But I would always say, and again, that's probably more, but I would always say to friends and all that, ask your mum and dad what they want. Because no doubt you'll give them the send off they deserve. But is it what they want? Yeah. I knew exactly what my mum wanted. So it takes that little bit of pressure off you. Like, you know, you're not sitting there going, oh, what would he want? Would he want this song? Like, I knew my mum wanted to be laid out in the house. I knew how long she wanted to be laid out for. I knew she wanted a corner grave. I knew she wanted a coffin like my nanny's. So I went into Jennings and I said, I didn't have to tell them what they wanted. I just said, I want the same funeral as Bridget Cooney. What date did she die? Gave them the date. And that was it. Handed over to the deposit. That was it. And that made that a little bit easier. When it came to like songs and all, knew what song she wanted. You know, one or two songs we put in ourselves that was for us, to me ma. But it's just, and I said this to Emma Jane as well, I said, I've no doubt that he'll give his parents a send off, he's deserved, but it's about what they want.
What they want.
So there's little things like she was talking to her man, just certain things that she didn't realise what her ma wanted and all that. And I'm not saying that like you have to go to your man now and say, look, what is it you want, because I want this, that. But like put it in like as like a little conversation. Like my mum would probably do with a few drinks. I had a great night tonight in Lights. I was brilliant. He's saying if tomorrow never comes, so that's the song that I want. And then it'll start off like that. And my ma could have been watching EastEnders one night and there was a funeral on it and they were getting buried and probably triggered me ma to say something. But that was the relationship that we had. And I don't know whether everyone can talk to their parents about stuff like that. It might be hard for them, or the parents probably don't want to talk about it. But I'm just lucky that we had that relationship with my ma where she could talk about stuff like that. Like I've already said to my family and all, like if that never happens, me and Paisley together. Yeah. What
do you want for your funeral?
Well, not so much like, I haven't said what I kind of want for a funeral, but if that ever happens, me and Paisley together, depending on, geez, I hope nothing ever happens us together. But I was like, I want us in the same coffin. And my sister's like, what? I'm like, yeah, like if that never happened, it was like, God forbid, like touch wood if you're ever in an accident or anything like that. I was like, I want our two was buried with me ma, like, and little things like that. But it'll never happen, please God. But I just want them to make them aware. Like if I can be buried with me ma, I know my sister would, you know. But just little things like, I don't really have a song, and this is one thing. Probably sound like a nutcase. I don't actually have a song for me funeral. Do you know that kind of way? But I did say, like, you know, make sure you give a nice eulogy. My sister's not good at stuff like that. She doesn't like doing that like that. Like she wants to get up and talk about me ma as well, but she just couldn't. That's all right. But I was like, I hope it's going to be a good eulogy as well. Like what you said, like I put my heart and soul into eulogies because like that I only done 3. I'm not a pro at them, but I wanted everybody. That's another thing, another
service that you could do. Help them with their eulogies.
Eulogy. Because my ma's eulogy at the start was about 7 pages.
Was it?
Yeah. And I had to narrow it down. Even like my Uncle Edward's, even my nannies, they were a pages long. Still have them. And you know, sometimes I still take them out and read them.
Do you?
Still read them. Still get upset. You know.
But you were always like this. But is it because of the fact that you lost so young? Like you lost your granddad when you were 3, 4?
3,
yeah. Like, so you've always had that kind of, and because I think you always had the older generation around you, with your nanny being on the same road as you, living in your nanny's, being brought up in your nanny's, and that kind of thing. Yeah, no, I know. I think, like, as I said, my ma would be like, oh, did you see Eileen send out to see me, Cooney? She'd be like, I want something like that. And again, I'm saying to her, you better have yourself insured. Yeah. But I know, like, my dad loves Simply the Best. So I know I'd want that song played for him. My ma's song is Mambo Number 5.
What?
Yeah, that's my ma's song. She loves Mambo Number 5. So I think...
At her funeral?
No, but I don't know whether... Yeah, would I play her... walking up to, you know what she's
doing this wheel up
the aisle, do you know what I mean? God. Like I know that's her song, like, so I know like all those kind of things. But yeah, no, I don't have, and I actually could have the conversation with Matt. Like I would now go up and say, oh, Natalie was in the house, I mean, just taught me funerals, what you want? Yeah. And like I could just say that to her, like, what you want, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And because just a few of you and your brothers and all, like you don't want, well, I don't want this, I don't want that. You don't want kind of like a little bit of, not argument, but you don't want... A little bit
of Monica on the side, a little bit of Margaret up the aisle.
Oh, God, Rebecca. God, I'm not saying I'm looking forward to that, but I'll definitely be front row there, let me tell you. Maggie Devine's funeral. Oh, my God.
Could you imagine?
No, but like even at that, like we played Summer at 69 at my uncle's funeral. And it was him, like it was very personalised. And I remember the priest and all saying how, like, he came down to us and said, like, it was very, very personal. He said, like, I've been to a lot of funerals, he says, but he says that was very, very personal. Even the kids' bidding prayers. Yeah. But that's what it's about. It's about them. And it's one of the last things you're going to do for them.
Is it true that Pride doesn't let you play songs?
I hear that now. It must be only now. I hear that they're only letting you play hymns.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like, that's not right. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, like, and the thing is, like with the church as well, they ask you to give a small donation, but they tell you how much. And it's not small to some people. It's like you're looking at 250, 300 euro. Yeah, that's what they charge you. So if you're paying that and it's the last thing you're going to do for that, your loved one, you should be able to do what you want.
Yeah.
Now I know a lot of churches have stopped playing all these like, you know, Frank Sinatra songs and all that. But I think if you're celebrating someone's life, you can celebrate it the way they want to.
Yeah.
With whatever songs they want and everything else. That's just my opinion.
And then do you know what does me head in as well? The grave. Because the priest doesn't come to the grave that much anymore. Do you know that?
Do you know?
No, the priest didn't come to their houses.
Go away.
No, it was a woman who did it.
Like a celebrant or something, is that what they're called?
Yeah, if I remember, jeez, now I could be talking out of turn day, but I'm sure the woman did it. A woman came and did it because the priest had another funeral to go to.
Stop it.
I swear to God. And then at that end, they don't have a sound system.
No.
At the grave.
No. There is some funeral places that do have like a mic and a speaker there.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen them in a while. I've been to a few funerals with them on it. But I haven't seen that.
Do you know where, and I know this is like, I thought this conversation was going to be totally different to what it is, but we're just going to go to blog because this is like, again, very new to me and Natalie.
Yeah.
It's like, so at Robbie's funeral out in Drogheda, the funeral home, yeah man, I said to him, I'm coming to you. If I ever die, I am coming. You need to, I was like, to do Santry, will you come to Santry? He was like, we go anywhere. I can't remember, they're in Drogheda, right beside the hospital, and Jesus Christ, they're beautiful, really beautiful. And even when we went in to see him and all that, they were like, just give us a minute, folks. They were like, family first, and then we get you in to see him and all. And he was just brilliant. But they had, Emma asked us to do guard of honour, to travel people to do a guard of honour at the church. And when she got out of the car and she seen that we'd done it, like she was in bits, but she was so strong. But and then, do you know, like again, it was the same church they got married in. There was, the singers were the ones who sang at their wedding.
Oh my God.
And the priest was fabulous as well. Like the priest said, like he was like I was like, oh, stop it. And you know me, I'm very cold, like very cold. And he was like, Robbie stood at the top of the aisle waiting for Emma to come down, and now Emma is following him down the aisle.
Oh my God.
Right? And that was like, so it was just so personalised and so beautiful. Yeah. But at the grave, they had the sound speaker. Do you know what they did at the end of the grave?
Did they play music?
They played music. They played the thunder, da na 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 na, thunder. Yeah. And the whole place, we were like, oh my God! And we all started clapping. And Emma was like, come on! And everyone was clapping. And I was like, this is just so lovely and so you know what I mean, personal to him.
Yeah.
But it's just like, as I said to you, I have never been touched by grief, and then the grief of this is just like, so what I'll be like, I'm saying to you all the years, I'll be grand if that never happened to my dad. I'd probably be a basket case, and you'll probably have to move into me gaff and mind me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I know what it's like. Like I had a lot of great aunts and uncles that I would have been very, very close to because I lived in my nanny's, and my nanny's was a centre point.
Yeah.
Everyone used to
There's always someone in your house.
Everybody gathered there, right? So I know all my granddad's sisters. I know all my nanny's brothers. I was at most of their funerals. Then obviously I was only 3 when my granddad died, but my ma's 3 brothers died. 2 of their wives died. My nanny died. My ma died. I've been at so many funerals, and that's only like my immediate family. And then I have, again, like I'd be close to second cousins and stuff like that. And I've been to funerals and all. And it's just like all the funerals I've been to, I just never thought I'd be at my ma's or my nanny's, you know, and it's really hard. And I told you this before, I spoke about this before when we were done the other podcast. When my nanny died, I thought, I have to go through this again with my ma. And my ma only died 2 years after my nanny. For those 2 years, Rebecca, I just had this like anxiety. I was just like, oh my God. Oh, and when my ma had cancer, I was like, oh my God. And I think that's why I didn't want to know. Because I didn't want to be like, oh, my ma only has 6 months. My ma only has 9 months or whatever. But it is hard. It is very, very hard. And what I found, and I'm not saying it's easier if you don't live with your parents, right? But when my nanny died, again, I said this to you before, when I used to go down to my house, I could pretend my nanny was there. When my ma died, I had no escape. Because I was still living in the house when my ma died. And it's very, very hard. And whether you live with them or not, it is extremely, extremely hard. But what scares me now is that my aunties are getting older. They're the only ones I have right now is my aunties. Obviously I have my sisters, like, but my aunties at that generation. And like I've already lost my 3 uncles and my ma. I'm going to lose my aunties someday. And then it'd be us. Who am I going to have? I always think like that. And yeah, I always think, I do think way ahead, Rebecca. That's my problem. I think way into the future. I don't think of today. I don't think of tomorrow. I don't think of next week.
How do you deal with that anxiety of that? I would be fucking...
I don't know. Do you know what? And I still go to my counselling. I still go to Fiona. Fiona's great. I have an appointment with her on Monday. But she's telling me like that. I didn't know I had anxiety. Now I don't suffer terrible with it, like I can't go outside the door. But I worry about stuff that doesn't happen. I worry about stuff that I kind of plant a seed in my head and it grows into this big huge forest. And I have to try and rein it back. But she thinks, I told you before about my cousin Anthony and his girlfriend Dara lost a baby just a couple of days before I had Paisley. And she thinks my counsellor thought maybe my anxiety kind of maybe stemmed from then.
Guilt.
Could have been a bit of guilt. Could have been a bit like, well, they lost our baby. What's stopping me from losing mine? I think back when I hemorrhaged, I just have this fear, constant fear of losing Paisley. I remember one night she slept through the night for the first time. I would not look in her Moses basket. I was petrified. And I just have all this anxiety. And she thinks it might have stemmed from, again, my mother's death, that I couldn't control that. And if my mother died, anybody that I love can die, including my child, including my sister, including best friends, anyone could die. So she thinks that because I don't have control over that it's kind of, I'm kind of dealing with anxiety. Like, it's not in her exact words, but that's like a roundabout way. But I do have a fear of losing people. I do have a fear of losing my job. I do have a fear of not being able to pay a mortgage in 5 years' time. I'm paying my mortgage.
Yeah.
I haven't lost any of my family, like really since my uncle 2 years ago. So I have to stop, because she says, you're underway with yourself, like this anxiety, she said, it's going to cripple you. But I am dealing with it. I'm trying to deal with it every day as it comes, like it's grand. But I just have all these fears, like when my aunties go.
And like, so you're not living the moment. And
I try to, yeah, I do try to. Yeah, just though I wouldn't be like this every day, but there'll be times maybe if I can't sleep at night, I overthink. Or, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I overthink. The pace is not well at the moment, so I'm worried a little bit about her. And then I'd be thinking, oh God, like, hope she's all right. Like, and I hope she doesn't end up in hospital. And, you know, I think when she was in hospital with pneumonia there before Christmas and all, like, and then I get woke up going, oh God, I hope nothing ever happens to her and all. Like, and I'm, oh no, what, no, something happens to me. And then I'm like, right, snap out of it. Back to today. She's all right. She's grand.
Yeah.
You know, she's been at the doctor twice this week. I just think I just have that personality, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to change how I think. I think I think too much and I care too much.
And sometimes you have to stop. Sometimes you have to just go like that, because I think that comes with age with me as well. Like, I'm very much like, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I do, because like, as I said to you, when I was doing a podcast and then I took the break and then posting other stuff and posting that. And then Bev said, was it Bev? Someone said, it wasn't Bev. It was actually Celine down in Park Studio Makeup in Coolock. She was like, why are you not posting your trips? Why are you not posting your day-to-day stuff and all? And I was like, because I don't think people would like it. And she was like, has anyone ever said they don't like it?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And she was like, then what's your problem? And I was like, yeah, you're right. So sometimes I have to, like, whereas I used to never overthink, and then I got stuck in a rut where I was letting people think about it, and then I was thinking about what people thought, and now I'm like, Rebecca, you actually don't give a fuck what people think about you, so why are you getting caught up in this headspace?
Yeah.
But I think it was more so everything that was going on. We were busy, we were travelling, all of that kind of stuff was going on. My ma was stressed out, my dad was stressed out. You know, where's he? What is he doing? Where's he gone? Who has him? You know, and like the relief I got when he was in Cranmera. Yeah. The relief. I was like, do you know what? He's away and he's grand and all that. But you know what? Like, and I said that again. Like when he like had his little ups and downs, or when he had his downs, or if he had a slipper on, he'd be like, bring me to Rebecca.
Oh, really?
Bring me to Rebecca. Because he knew that I was his enabler.
Go-to person.
I was his enabler.
Stop.
That I would, like, he'd be like, oh, just bring me to hers. I'd bring me to Rebecca's. My man and I'd be like, get the fuck out, Gordon, get out. I'll bring me to Rebecca's. And only this time, Robert Davis is like, nope. He's like, you're not going to Rebecca's. He's like, you're not going. Like, so he, like, and this is the thing about addiction and all that, but he was happy. Like, Paul Kelly was sleeping on the sofa. Aria was sleeping in with me, and he was sleeping in Aria's bed.
Stop.
And he was happy for that. He was like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, and I was letting that happen as well. And then Paul, Paul was like, Paul would never give out, but Paul was like, what story is he coming up? And I was like, yeah. And then me and Paul were kind of going a little bit further and further away. And then, like, the thing is, like, I say to the girls now, like, the physical touch, like, even getting a hug off the girls, I've getting a hug off Paul, like, and I said that to Paul, we have to start being a little bit more physical, like, with each other, as in giving hugs, giving kisses and stuff like that around. And then I had him sitting on my sofa all the time. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But the last straw that broke the camel's back, as I said, that he was like, my ma rang and said, you better come down to the house. And I was like, oh, here we go again. And I rang Paul and I said to Paul, I have to go down and get him.
Yeah.
And when I got there, Robert was at the dealing with it. Robert was like, you're not going to Rebecca's.
Go away.
And he's like, you're not. He's like, you're not.
This was before Cooney, was it?
Yeah, no, after Cooney.
Oh, after.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, you can't. He's like, you can't take him in again. You can't take him in again. And I was like, you're right. And you know what? I haven't actually looked back since.
Go away. And he's doing well, isn't he?
Don't know, Natalie.
What?
I don't know.
Have you not seen him?
No.
Is he not in your mountain house?
No.
Oh, Rebecca.
But I can't do anything about it, Natalie. I can't do anything about it. And I had a conversation with a girl this weekend. Before Thursday, I had a conversation with a girl, and she was like, the manipulation and that it's this happened to me, it's all because of this. They still don't take responsibility. Like, they still don't go to a meeting. They still, like, I was like, will you get up? He was in my ma's every day, and I was like, have you gone to a meeting yet?
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, I'll go tomorrow. And I was like, get up and go to a meeting. But yeah, no, I don't know.
How long is he like that now?
I'd say about a month.
Rebecca.
But I actually, like, it's not like, as I said to you, I'm just fucking emotional today, like, period and all that. But, like, I can't
sometimes, if you, like, I don't know too much about addiction, but I do know that if they're not willing to accept the help, and if they're not willing to change, you're not going to make them. No one's going to make them. Nothing or nobody's going to make them change. You have to want to do it. And he might have wanted to do it for a while, and now, I don't know, maybe he saw someone having a drink, or maybe he's seen an ad or something and it's triggered something, and he just doesn't have the willpower.
And you know what, the thing about him was that he wasn't, pre-pandemic, he wasn't a big drinker. Like, he drank his wages, and then when he had no money, he couldn't drink. So it was just the pandemic that sent him over the edge. Yeah. But, like, I had to just say, I was having fights with my man and dad over him. Like, I was saying to my dad, you're not doing enough. And then I went over to the Spellman Centre. They asked me to go over and do a talk about how it affected me as a sibling. And I go on and I spoke and I said, like, at the end of the day, what I didn't want was crocodile tears at his funeral. I didn't want me ma or me dad more so saying, and you don't start crying because you didn't do this. And I would have, like, lashed out. I would have killed me dad. Like, I would have, do you know what I mean? And I would have been like, how dare you, because you as a parent weren't doing enough.
Yeah.
But you know what they were, Natalie? They were.
They just couldn't do enough for him.
Yeah, and I couldn't see that they weren't doing enough. Like, he had them up. He was sleeping all day and then getting up at 11:30 at night and 12 o'clock and making himself something to eat. And my ma was like, your ma was coming downstairs thinking someone was breaking in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And my ma and dad are in their 70s.
Yeah, they're not able.
So in that Spellman group, like, and I said it, I know there's families in this room probably that are struggling, but if you can hand on your heart say you have done everything for them, then you can't have that on your conscience.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And that's me now, Natalie.
Yeah.
That's me now. It's just, I just can't, I did everything. And other than putting Aria in the bed with me and my husband, we're still young. I like to think we're still young. I mean, Paul have a life ahead of us. And him happy as Larry to come into this house.
And have you sleeping separately.
And have us sleeping separately. That I said, I am not going to jeopardise my family for that anymore. You
can't. And as I said, I don't know much about addiction myself, but I do know that it can destroy lives. And not just the lives that are like Gerard's like family, but the family, the wider family, the wider circle. Like, as you said, like, you and Paul were sleeping separately. that could have drove a huge wedge between you. Could have split you up for all you know. You don't know if it had happened, you know, if he had have continued staying with you. But I just think people with addictions, they won't get help until they want it themselves. You can do it till you're blue in the face, your mate and dad can do it. But they just, unless they're ready to do it themselves, nothing you can do.
Yeah, and you know, again, I had to think about the effect that was going to have on the girls, watching mum and dad sleeping. And then Aria has gotten so, like, she's like, I don't think she's funny, because it's not funny, but she's like so particular. She's so like with things like, do you know that, like, she doesn't have a sheet on her bed, she doesn't have a sheet on her duvet, because she sucks and sucks and sucks things, like, so she puts everything into her whole mouth, like she'll fist it into a ball and put it in her whole mouth. That's why her teeth are like, now the teeth are out over the lip and everything like this. It's just, so she has fleece blankets because she won't suck a fleece.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So she has to have fleece blankets. Do you know Patrick James? Do you remember him that did a podcast with me?
Yeah.
He put up a thing on his Instagram saying, Ollie is going around with your €200 runners, but your pillowcase, your pillows are like tea bags. And I was like, that's so true. And I look at Aria's room when she has literally the fleece, like she's got nothing, because she literally, like, she would get out of bed and she'd root in her wardrobe for something that's cotton.
Stop.
That she could suck.
Go away.
Yeah.
Is that?
Since she's like a baby, she's always sucked. Like, she had a sucky, so it's like she had a pillowcase. She used to take the pillowcases off. So we're on it, like, she's done very well now. I think we're week 6 without sucking. But he was, again, happy for her to be in my bed and him to take over her little room and her little space. So that's why I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Addiction is just crazy. And that's where the burnout was coming. And now, only now, and Paul was like to me, come on, have you got a guest? Are you doing? And I was like, I couldn't really care.
Yeah.
Couldn't really care if I don't have a guest. Couldn't really care. And then Paul was like, no, come on now, get back up and talk. I thought you were going to talk to Natalie. And I was like, I am going to talk to Natalie. And he was like, thought you were going to do this. And then everyone was messaging me, and then I'd see people on the street, and like, they'd say to me, are you the girl from the Everywhere We Go podcast?
Yeah.
And I'd say, yeah. And she'd go, oh my God, are you coming back? Are you coming back? And then, are you not doing a podcast anymore? And I was like, do you know what? You love doing them. So just go back to it.
Yeah.
And just strip it all back.
I love listening to them.
Do you?
Yeah, I love them.
Do you not think
No, I actually go back and listen to other ones. Like, I do, repeat them. I've listened to Air One, I've done it many times.
Have you? Air One is gas though, isn't it?
It's great crack, yeah.
And that's what I'd love. Like, I think people now, because when I put when I said I was back and I put like loads of hello, my name is.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, everyone was like, I was like to Paul, like, I was stupid. I was like to Paul, have an idea. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do this.
Yeah.
And so he was like editing, and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I was like, it's amazing. And he was like, you're mad. I was like, no, just little things like that make my heart sing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Sometimes I'd be looking and go, oh God, it's Rebecca. Yeah. And I do tell people now, if you ever like need anything, we want to listen to anything, you're driving in the car, Everywhere We Go podcast. The very first one, it's me and my friends from years ago. If you start there, and then, I'm always saying it. And I have so many more followers now as well.
I know, but I love when people listen to Air One and they're like, yous are mad. Like, and even now, we still haven't, it's been a while, we have to kind of get together because we haven't got together in ages and sit down and talk about motherhood and all that. But come here, tell me about you now. Tell me what's going on. Are you looking for love? Are you not looking for love?
No, I'm too wrapped up in Paisley, to be honest with you, Rebecca. Too wrapped up. Like, I'm happy, just the two of us. The two of us, like, we have little routines, we have our little girly days. Like, we have days where we go shopping, and then we have days where we just sit on the sofa watching telly all day, the pyjamas, and plus, I don't really want to be going meeting someone and leaving my child with somebody to go meet this person. If I do meet someone, now, I won't go say too much on this, but I have been on a couple of dates, right? But they're not, I wouldn't be like, you're worth leaving my child at home for an hour to go on a date with. If I do meet someone, they're going to have to be really, really special. Really special. And if I do meet somebody, Paisley will not be meeting them for a long, long time.
How do you do? Is that your phone buzzing?
Yeah.
That's all right. I didn't know what it was. Look at me, that camera. I look ancient.
Apologies, we'll take that bit out.
So tell me about, because one of the girls right now, and did you have experience with Tinder, with all of that kind of stuff?
No.
Yeah, she's gone through it now a bit, and she was like looking on it, and then she was like, these all are probably all married with kids and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's not for me. I I just don't know. A few people have said to me, would you not go on and meet someone? I'm like, no, doesn't appeal to me. Don't really want to. I'm just content right now. I'm happy now.
Are you happy?
Busy. Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm very busy with working and all, and then I'm going to the gym a couple of nights a week.
Yeah, you look amazing.
But and then I just like coming home to her. You know, I just love spending my time with her. So at the moment, no, I'm not looking for anything.
What do you want in the future? Like, what would you like in life?
To be happy. Oh, do you know what? To be honest with you, I would have loved another child.
Would you?
Yeah, I would have loved another child. And the reason is I didn't want Paisley being my only child. I didn't want her thinking like, I'd be thinking of me ma, like as I said there about Janice dealing with all the doctors and all, and I couldn't deal with it, so she was dealing with it. And then after my ma died, I'm dealing with the headstone, I'm dealing with the funeral and all, and Janice couldn't deal with that. I'm thinking my poor Paisley's going to have to deal with all that on her own. And I've said this to my aunties and all, I've said it to my sister, and I'd be like, I just don't want her having this huge burden on her own. I want her to be able to share the burden. And my auntie was like, it's so ridiculous. Like, you know, she has Callum and Evan. You know, Callum and Evan could have girlfriends by then. They could have kids. She might even be married herself by the time, you know, anything, like when you're sick or anything like that, please God, keep it from you, did you say? But she was like, she could have a partner, someone to help her make decisions, someone to help her, you know, when she's to go to a doctor. But she said, this might not even happen. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, I know, but I would have liked another one.
Would you foster?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I know, you know, my younger sister was fostered, and when my ma died, she was 14, so I had to take her on, and it was tough, Rebecca, because she was grieving, I was grieving. She threw me face a couple of times, you're not me ma, stop acting like me ma. And she was right. I probably was trying to keep her like on the straight and narrow and in school, and she was rebelling and stuff like that, so it was tough. I think it'd be tough to take on.
How many years? So Nicole was 14 when your ma died. How old were you when your ma died?
I was 33, so there's 19 years between us.
Yeah.
I was 19 when my ma says I'm going to be taking the kids on. Kyle and Cole, they were 5 months and 2.5. And they're in their 20s now. They're 23 and 25 or something like that now. They are. Can't keep up. Yeah, 23, 25. So I'm 41. So yeah, 23.
How was that for you when they were like? How did you feel that there was, because you were so close, like you, Janice, and your ma?
Yeah.
And obviously I know Callum was there as well, but that a new family was coming in.
I was excited. Don't get me wrong, I was excited. I was like, oh God, like it'd be great, like, you know, having little kids in the house, like for Christmas and stuff like that. But it was actually, Janice found out she was pregnant. It was around, say, February or March. She was due in the October. And then a couple of weeks later, my ma found out then that she was going to be getting the kids. To our brother John, my ma's brother's grandkids were. So I went from having no kids in the house to 3 within a couple of months. And it was great. And then my cousin Dane was a baby at the time, like, so he used to be always down. So we used to have 4 kids all together. It was great. But then, I'm even embarrassed to say this, I got very jealous.
Did you?
Yeah. Because I was like, my ma's bringing them everywhere. I was 20 years of age at this stage, and I was like, ma's bringing them everywhere. I don't go anywhere with my ma anymore. But I got used to it. So, like, they would call my ma. I would call them my brother and sister. Yeah. They were devastated and all when my ma died and all. Now, I have to say, like, they were broken-hearted. Like we're still close. But it was very tough. Now, I'm not going to lie. The start was a great little novelty. But then, as the months and all went on, I was like, getting on my ma's attention. You know, that kind of way.
Because you know Conor Ryan, he said his ma and dad fostered a little bit as well. Yeah, I remember. And he was saying that, like, he got a bit jealous as well. You know what I mean? And then, like, people saying, I remember people saying, like, oh, state of him getting jealous. Of course he'd get jealous. Yeah. Of course you would have that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
You're sharing them, like, and you're not used to sharing. I was used to sharing her with Janice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but, I mean, to see 2 new kids coming in. Now, it's saying I was a little bit jealous, like, with my nephews and all. I was like, to get on my ma's attention. But it wore off. Like, I got used to it. Like, and I'd never change it for the world either. Do you know, that kind of way? It was just, I didn't like sharing her.
And how is Nicole and all now?
Yeah, they're grand. Not a bother. She's living in her boyfriend's. Kyle has his own place and all, I think, now. Or I think he's living with his girlfriend or something like that. Yeah, so they're doing well. Doing really, really well now, I have to say.
I remember I'd see her, like, and I'd say, hey, Nicole. And I say sometimes they'd be looking at me like that. Do you ever see that we like see some kids in the street and like, I know your ma?
Yeah. I remember Sadie used to say that. I'm telling your ma. I'm like, oh my God. I didn't know it was her telling me ma loads of stuff. Do you remember? Until months later, when I heard.
Because I drove up to get Lucy today, and Conor Ryan stopped and he was like, what are you doing on this road? And I was like, my brother just lives there. And I was like, come here, you little pup. I was like, I was on this road long before you were on this bleeding road. Do you know what I mean? The things. God. And she used to, that one used to rat us out and everything and all.
She would see me man north side on a Thursday. I'd be like, I believe you're up doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, I'd be like, oh my God, what the hell? How does she know this?
I wonder if her daughter ever heard the podcast.
Believe it or not, I worked with a fella called Colin, and he rings me one day and he was asking me to do something, blah, 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 and he goes, did you do a podcast with a girl from the course? And I went, yeah. He goes, yeah, you mentioned my ma. And I says, what? I says, who? And he was like, Sadie. And I was like, that is not your ma. I was like, go away. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. Because his sister rang him and was like, fast forward to, say, 2 hours, 50 minutes or whatever it was. I was like, yeah. And he was like, no way. And I was like, I didn't say anything bad about her. Like, I was just saying she used to rat me out, like, you know. But I was like, God, it's a small world, I said. Because I didn't kind of put two and two together because he was down in the Kildare area, but I forgot she had moved down that area. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, that's his man. He listens to podcasts. I was like, no way.
She's still alive?
Oh, no. Sadie died
a couple
years ago, yeah.
She was a rat, though. She used to just rat us out.
She was lovely.
Oh, she used I wouldn't mind. So, like, I'd leave the kids on their own and be like, come here, you, I know you know, or move away from there. And like, pause, but I can't talk to the kids like that. I was like, I can talk to them kids anyway. I want to do them the courts. Because I think that's just what we did. That's like, do you know what I mean?
We're like one big, huge, joint family.
Yeah, and I remember even Julie Hannah, when Christine's lost her ma, she said that, like, Christine was going down to court after her mum died and they were all out cleaning her out. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? I wonder if there's still, like, and people can tell us, if there's still communities like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember when my ma died, people are dropping in, like, sandwiches and crisps and I think I don't know whether someone brought over a cuddle or something like that. I can't remember.
Probably Tommy Mean.
Could have been. But, yeah, like, just was a lot of, like, the older, or like, what you call it, old school, or a lot of those
old generation,
yeah, they would all do it. But yeah, I think we were eating sandwiches for weeks after my mad died. Yeah, everyone was so good.
Well, I think people like you, Natalie, and me in this world, that we will still have those traditions, those respects, those values, because we were taught them so well, and it's just up to us to pass that on to Paisley, to pass that on to Amelia and Aria. We're going to get an interruption now in 2.3 seconds. Because I can see my child coming in there. But on that note, as I said, I didn't know which way this conversation was going to go. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. And I just feel that when we have got, not like, but I just think that, you know, I don't want you to say, you're my backup.
No,
you're my backup plan. But I just think that, like, you know, we should have more conversations.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, like, everyone was like, because Paul said to me, you're not going to talk about you, are you? You're not going to interview you, are you? And I was like, no, but like, if it was anyone to interview me, I probably would ask you to interview me. But again, I don't have a story. I don't have.
You do.
Stormy.
All your celeb friends.
Celeb friends. Oh, stop the lights. But you hear, celeb friends, I can ask them to come over. But on that note, we leave it there now. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming up and giving me your time.
Asking, you're very good.
And then this is not the last you will hear.
No, you'll definitely see me. I'm going to get some more many followers now after this. I got 11 the last time. I wonder, will I make it to 12?
You've no idea what her head is going to be like when you see it. They'll be like, there's that one, Natalie Cooney.
Paparazzi outside that door when I walk out, immortal.
We were saying, I was laughing, we were saying, the new, as I said, new Vogue and Joanne.
Yeah.
Paul said to me, don't turn it into these two young ones. And I was like, we're nothing like them, babe. I was like, we're nothing. We have like motherhood conversations that we can be having, and 100%. Life and bills. We're the boring bastards of the podcast.
No life. Don't go outside the door unless it's to work and pay a bill.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks, Rebecca.